Being very entitled and controlling, narcissists have no difficulty stepping all over your personal boundaries. So that's why I put together an extensive video class called This Is Me. It has 25 videos, written documents, guided questions. I'm going to teach you how to have healthy boundaries. There's a link below, and I hope you'll find it to be quite therapeutic. Let's begin today with a realization of what narcissists desire most in their relationship with you. And we can pretty safely say that virtually all narcissists in some form or another want to establish their power over you. These are power broker kind of people. They want to let it, or to convince themselves anyway, that they have a lot of strength on the inside, and they're going to superimpose their strength onto you, and somehow that validates them and makes them feel good about who they are. They need you to be beneath them, and so they continually go into that power and control and dominance game over you, as evidenced in so many different ways. Now, that's not a shock. But basically, we can see that that they're going to continue to do this no matter what. The unfortunate thing is there are actually times when you can play along with them in their craving for power in such a way that you actually give up your own power in service to them. And I know you don't really mean it to play out this way, but that's the net result. And in today's lesson, I want to see if I can walk you through 7 of the most common ways that you play along with their craving for power by giving up your own sense of power to them. And there are strange ways that this can work. Let's see if we can identify them. So obviously you can go into a different direction. Now, the first thing I want to mention, number 1, how you give up your power to a narcissist, is you can repeatedly push against their judgments toward you. Let's pause right on that. It's no secret that narcissists are highly judgmental. They have their agenda, they have their ideas about who you're supposed to be or what the correct opinion is supposed to be. And I want you to think, how many times have you gotten into non-productive discussions with them, if you want to call it a discussion, talking about how your opinions or your preferences or your ways make a lot of sense, and you just push back. Quit judging me like this, or quit pronouncing me as being a nobody. You know what the narcissist is thinking when you do that? It's like, got you going, don't I? And they actually take delight when they sense that you're pushing against their judgment. It's like, well, I must be a pretty important person because my opinion matters quite a bit. And so they don't back off. They double down and they try to become even more overpowering, as evidenced by their stubbornness and their argumentative nature, etc. That's crazy, isn't it? A second way that you can hand over your power to that narcissist is that, and this kind of goes right along with it, you feel the need to justify who you are. I want you to think, how many times have you felt like, well, I've got to come up with a real good explanation for why I do the things that I do and why I feel and react. And so you explain, well, here's my reasoning and here's what I'm all about. How many times does that narcissist come back and say, well, based on your justification of who you are, I guess I'm just going to have to reorient everything I do with you? Again, they're thinking, this is great news. You're working really hard to make yourself look good to me. That must mean that you think that my opinion is necessary, and it feeds their egotism the more you overly justify who you are. Now, this takes us into a third pattern that you can get into where you're handing over your power to them. And that is, it's kind of a mindset that you carry. And that is, you just hope against hope that you can, in fact, gain some understanding from the narcissist toward you. I have spoken so many times with individuals who will say, but it makes no sense that they would do this. Surely someone can talk sense into them. Or why do they have to be this way? For example, when the narcissist tries to turn other people against you, you think, they're not going to keep doing this forever, are they? And the more you hold on to the idealism that represents, and I don't fault you for thinking in that idealistic direction, But the more you hold on to it, to the extent that you cannot accept reality for what it is, these are jerks and they're difficult people, then they wind up continuing to have power over you, and you're at their behest with respect to how you're going to feel, because it all hinges on them responding well to you, which they won't do. So the more you hope against hope that they can understand you, that's another way that you give up your power. Now, a fourth way that people can hand over their power, and that is, there are many times when individuals who are in the narcissist presence feel like, well, the only way I can keep them off my back is just appease them. I'll just kind of go along to get along, and maybe they'll quit complaining quite so much. And for example, if they're in a bad mood, then I have to walk on eggshells. Or if I manage a procedure this way, I know they're going to get mad, so I'll change my approach and do it in ways that'll keep them off my back. Or I know that they're the gatekeeper to someone else that I want to be engaged with, and so I'll say nice things to them so that they won't block me. I mean, there's all sorts of different ways that you appease, and over time, the narcissist figures out that's exactly what you're doing. And it's like, once again, it's like, this is good. I like this, and you're not going to get them out of their dark place by appeasing them. All you're going to do is you're going to let them know, keep up what you're doing, because I'll just fall in line if I have to. That's not a good way to go. A fifth way that you hand over your power is that you can think assertively, but then you can act unassertively. Okay. Now, what I mean by that is there are times when you examine the way that the relationship between you and the narcissist is unfolding. You're thinking, this isn't working. This isn't working very well. I don't like the way they treat me. I don't like how they think about me, and they're stubborn and all the rest. I need to sit down and talk things out with them, and I need to make sure that that they know that this is inappropriate. And you've got this whole speech in your mind that you're going to give. And then when the time comes to actually act upon it, it's like, nah, never mind, because all I know is going to turn into an argument, or they're going to refute me. Sometimes your assertiveness has to go beyond just words, because narcissists will take your words and just jumble them up. And sometimes the assertiveness needs to just be shown in action. Rather than me talking about how I want to be different, I'm just going to be different. Or rather than talking about needing to have consequences, I'm just going to apply consequences. So many times it's like, well, yeah, but it's going to be more trouble than it's worth, that you think assertively, but then when the time comes, it's like, nah, I don't want to go through the discomfort that that's certainly going to generate, which it would. A sixth way that you can hand over your power to the narcissist is you can actually at times become temporarily seduced by their pleasant episodes. There are going to be times, keep in mind, that narcissists can be charmers. They like seducing individuals into thinking they're really wonderful individuals. And so you might have some times where it's so difficult with that person, but yet you have another time where you're around that individual and you walk away thinking, well, that wasn't so bad, and that was okay. And they told some funny stories, and they said something nice about me. So maybe I've got this a little bit more overblown, and I don't need to think quite so harshly. And of course, that's their manipulation, because over time they continue to show that they're going to go back to their exploitation of you and dominance. But those interludes is part of their intermittent reinforcement, just to keep you on the hook. And then a seventh way that you can hand over your power, and this is probably the biggest one, and that is you can over time you just have hate and resentment, and you cling to it. Now, when that happens, when you begin thinking, I hate this person, I can't stand being in this individual's presence, what happens is your heart has become darkened by them, and you become a shell of a person that you would like to be. It's like, all of my decency and goodness, my effectiveness has been deleted, and therefore I'm just going to stick with my dark stuff, and you wind up being just like the person that you don't care for. And that keeps you tethered to them, and they still maintain power even if they're not even physically present in your life. Now, handing over your power like this in the way that I'm describing can actually be an offshoot of your best characteristics turning into your worst traits. For example, in your efforts to try to keep them appeased, Basically, what you're saying is, well, I really wish things could work out, or it doesn't have to be this difficult, or surely this person will eventually snap out of it, or I'm defined by my loyalty. I like being that way, or I'm assuming that that this person does have a conscience. Let's see if we can tap into that. And you want to be an honorable individual, but you have to remind yourself that's you thinking normally and healthy, and narcissists don't think healthy. You're trying so much to superimpose normalcy. Narcissists are not normal in that sense, and that's actually a weakness on your part. And the answer is, well, it is when it inhibits you from being able to accept the truth that they place right there in front of you. Let's keep in mind, every single person has the freedom to choose between good and not good. Guess which direction the narcissist has chosen? They try to portray themselves often as good, but they've decided, I'll let my dark traits come over me. I don't really care. And so no matter how strongly you wish for the relationship to differ, keep in mind the narcissist is not interested. They're part of the definition of narcissism is it's all about me. It's raw selfishness. So let's go back to our original premise. Narcissists want to have power over you. Short term, maybe they can win in defeating you, but ultimately I'm hoping you can decide, I'm not handing over my power to this individual. I'm not going to play along, and I'm not going to do these kinds of things that I've mentioned here in this video. I'm not going to do it in such a way where I wind up being held captive by them. I'm free too. And I'm going to focus on love and goodness and decency and respect. And when it becomes quite clear that the narcissist is not capable of joining with me with that, then rather than saying, well, I've got to get him over on my team, they're not going to be on my team, but I'm going to go ahead and be on Team Healthy. I stand for dignity, respect, and civility. That's when you take your power back by not trying to overpower. Now, I hope that this gives you some good awareness of what you're perhaps dealing with. If you haven't already hit that subscribe button, I would encourage you to do so. Likewise, I know when you're dealing with something like this, it's good for you to be able to have a therapist that can sift this out with you. You know, I've been sponsored for years by the people at BetterHelp.com. I'm a retired therapist now, but obviously I believe in it. It's so helpful when you have somebody that can sit down and say, let's break this down. Let's figure out what the key ingredients are here. And that's what happens when you're in therapy. The BetterHelp people can do that with you online. It's proven to be quite popular and effective. So please get the help. The link is below that will take you to their website. In addition, I've put together courses, and these are very extensive. It's my way of trying to introduce some therapeutic themes to you in an extended kind of teaching session. Each course has at least 25 videos. Each video has handouts, documents that go along with it with guided questions. We have Ready, Set, Connect about making healthy connections. Free to be, finding yourself despite the controllers. This is me establishing those boundaries. More are on the way. We also have my website that has my webinars that have been presented. They're 90-minute presentations. You can go back and pick up on those, as well as articles and access to my podcast, my books, plenty of resources there. Narcissists want to have power over you, and they're just going to keep coming at you with that desire. What you don't want to do is play into it in such a way that says, well, here, I'll let you have power. No, we're not going to do that. The ultimate power is for you to have self-respect and for you to maintain the dignity and the steadiness that goes along with that. And in the end, I hope it takes you into a place of genuine peace that they can't share with you, but I hope that you find your peace.